Today we are examining the technical architecture behind identity verification and the critical shift toward multi-factor authentication. This is not merely an optional security feature, but the foundational layer of the zero trust model. The traditional reliance on a single static password operates on a flawed assumption of trust. To protect information at rest and in transit, we must move beyond simple knowledge-based credentials to a multi-layered verification stack. This is episode 2 of the Modern Security Blueprint. In our previous analysis, we established the core philosophy of zero trust, never trust, always verify. Today we analyze the practical application of that philosophy through the principle of verify explicitly. We will examine why the parameter-based security model has failed and how identity has become the new control plane. We will analyze the three pillars of authentication factors, the mechanisms of cryptographic challenges, and how modern hardware keys eliminate the vectors used by common phishing attacks. To understand the necessity of multi-factor authentication or MFA, we must first analyze the structural weakness of single-factor authentication. Historically, systems relied on something you know, typically a password or PIN. The architectural flaw here is a singular dependency. If this single static secret is compromised, the system cannot distinguish between the legitimate user and an attacker. The system grants access based on the possession of the secret, not the identity of the requester. Attackers exploit this through two primary vectors, credential stuffing and phishing. In credential stuffing, attackers use automated scripts to test the stolen username and password pairs across multiple services. Because users frequently recycle credentials, a breach in one database compromises independent systems. In phishing, the user is socially engineered to voluntarily disclose the secret. Once the secret is shared, the security model collapses. The system operates on a binary state. If the password is correct, access is granted. There is no secondary validation. This is insufficient for modern security architectures. To address this vulnerability, we must implement multi-factor authentication, MFA. This is not a single check, but a composite verification process. A robust MFA implementation requires evidence from at least two of the three distinct categories of authentication factors. Second, something you have. This is a possession factor. This includes hardware tokens, a registered smartphone, or a smart card. The technical principle here is physical proximity and ownership. An attacker in a remote location may have your password, but they do not possess the physical device required to complete the cryptographic handshake. It is critical to note that the system does not store your actual fingerprint image. Instead, the system creates a mathematical representation of the biometric data. This data is often stored in a dedicated security coprocessor, isolated from the main operating system. This isolation is critical, even if the main kernel is compromised. The raw biometric data remains inaccessible. Effective security requires combining these factors. A password plus a one-time password, OTP, represents knowledge plus possession. This combination forces the attacker to compromise two distinct vectors simultaneously, exponentially increasing the difficulty of unauthorized access. Moving from authentication factors to architectural strategy, we must recognize that identity is a new parameter. In the legacy castle and moat model, we secured the network edge. Once the user bypassed the firewall, they had broad lateral access to resources. They could access more than what they needed to do their job. In the cloud-native environment, there is no single network edge. Users access resources from coffee shops, home networks, and mobile data. We cannot trust the network, therefore we must shift the security control to the identity of the user and the device. This is where adaptive MFA functions. The system analyzes context signals. Where is the login coming from? Is the device managed and healthy? is the login time consistent with user behavior? If the signals are anomalous, for example, a login attempt from a new country on an unmanaged device, the system dynamically elevates the authentication requirement. It may demand a hardware key or deny access entirely. The system allows components to access only what they need to do their job, and only after rigorous verification of the identity context. However, not all MFA is created equal. We must distinguish between phishable MFA and phishing-resistant MFA. SMS codes and push notifications are vulnerable to interception and fatigue attacks. An attacker can create a fake login page, capture the user's password and the SMS code in real time, and relay them to the legitimate service. To eliminate this factor, we utilize FIDO, standards and passkeys. This architecture relies on public key cryptography. When you register a device, it generates a private key that never leaves your hardware. It also registers a public key with the server. During authentication, the server sends a mathematical challenge. Your device uses the private key to sign the challenge. Critical to this process is origin binding, that the website requesting the signature is actually the legitimate domain. If you are on a fake phishing site, the domain will not match. The browser will refuse to sign the challenge. The attack fails mechanically. The user cannot accidentally give away their credentials because the private key cannot be phished. This renders the most common social engineering attacks functionally useless. Conclusion: we have moved from a reliance on static secrets to a dynamic identity-centric model. By implementing multi-factor authentication, we ensure that access is granted based on a combination of knowledge, possession, and inherence. This is the only viable method to secure data in a distributed environment. In the next episode, we will move further down the blueprint to examine least privileged access and how we restrict lateral movement within the network. To continue receiving technical breakdowns of operating system architectures and security principles, subscribe to the channel.